Welcome to Charlotte, North Carolina in the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl, part of ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week. It's the University of South Florida Bulls from the Big East taking on the Clemson Tigers from the ACC at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the NFL's Carolina Panthers. And at least on paper, we have the makings of a very even football game between South Florida and Clemson. The numbers eerily similar. Two teams built on defense, special teams, and stopping the run. And welcome to Charlotte, North Carolina. Brock Heward's Rockin' New Year's Eve. We're your co-hosts, Mike Bellotti and Carter Blackburn. Shannon Spake joins us in a moment. Bowl season is, of course, the end of one year. It's the beginning kind of another season. It is also evaluation time for the guys who may be moving on to the next level. All eyes on number 93 for Clemson in that regard today.
And that's Daquan Bowers, and that's why you don't just see NFL scouts here. You actually see some GMs here. Remember, Daquan was the #1 recruit in America coming out of high school, and Dabo Sweeney asked him to commit to his craft. He lost about 15 pounds this offseason, and Mike, he watched those sack numbers jump from 3 to lead America with 15.5. But this isn't a one-man show for Clemson up front.
No, he's not the only guy. You know, Brandon Thompson, Jarvis Jenkins, Andre Brandt, those guys average 290 pounds, probably the most dominant defensive line in the nation.
For more on Daquan Bowers, let's go down to the sideline and check in with Shannon Spake.
Well, guys, on the field, Daquan Bowers has been the epitome of strength this season. As you just mentioned, some of his accomplishments already this year. Off the field, however, he's been dealing with some personal pain. In August, his father died unexpectedly, but not before he was able to pass on some words of advice to his son. He told him to stop wasting time. He told him he could be a great football player if he just focused. Now, while his father was not able to see those words played out on the field, Daquan says he takes them very seriously. Every time he hits the field, he plays like it could be his last time. He dedicates every game to his dad, and he tries to play 100%.
Daquan told me earlier this year, Shannon, on Friday nights used to go to Raiders Alley Wings, and his dad would talk through what the past week was like, what the past game was like, and what it takes to get to this level, the top defensive player in college football. But it will be Clemson getting the football first. It's Marcus Gilchrist on the return, dropped at the 24-yard line. So South Florida on defense, Clemson on offense. Let's take a look at the impact players when the Tigers have the football.
Oh, you see the big feature back right away. That's Jamie Harper, about 230 pounds, but very nimble out of the backfield. The team's third leading receiver. And speaking of receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, a true freshman, has become the big play threat down the field. 3 times All-State in hoops. He can really move.
On the other side of the ball, Jaquan Williams, leading tackler, captain, playmaker, could play any position in the back 7 for that defense.
Sophomore quarterback Kyle Parker gets the start in what will likely be his last game as a Clemson Tiger. We expect to see a couple of quarterbacks for Clemson today. Play action on first down. Parker chased from behind. Kyle Parker is going to tuck it and scramble for a positive gain on the first play from scrimmage.
You mentioned this may be his last game. Not many times do you hear that about redshirt sophomore quarterbacks, but Kyle Parker, a first-round draft pick of the Colorado Rockies, will be taking part in spring training in a few months. And they've got a bit of a dilemma today because Taj Boyd is the future. He's the foundation, a redshirt freshman, and you will see him get snaps this afternoon.
8 of 6 on the scramble from Parker, who goes under center for 2nd down and 4. Tight coverage from South Florida, so a handoff. Harper picks his way for a first down across the 40.
You know, interesting to watch today how Kyle Parker handles the emotion of his last game. Again, first 2 plays, runs the ball for a positive yard, then hands the ball off. They've got to get him involved in the passing game, though, and make up for some of the problems he had last game.
You see right away South Florida thinking they can rely on the front guys to take care of the run. Just a 6-man box. Clemson takes advantage. Positive numbers. Move the chains.
1st and 10 for the Tigers. Opening drive for Clemson. Chipped as the fullback Deal goes out as an inside receiver next to DeAndre Hopkins. But it's another handoff. It's Harper again for a gain of a couple. Mike, we had Clemson versus South Carolina at the end of the regular season. We saw Taj Boyd play most of the entire second half, most of that game for the Tigers. You said it was an interesting decision bowl-wise. Do you go with Parker or with Taj Boyd?
I don't think it's interesting at all. I think, again, this is the most important game of the season or not. If you're 6-6, you got to get to a winning record. You go with your veteran quarterback. You don't worry about the future. The future is now.
Big difference between a 6-7 year and a 7-6 year, which is on the line right now for the Tigers. 6-6 a team that many expected to contend for the ACC championship. Instead, a long drop from Parker on 2nd and 13. He's going to bring it back to the tight end, Allen. One of Clemson's top receivers, Allen, goes back across the original line of scrimmage for a gain of 7. Young and Washington on the stop. Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, guys, when Kyle Parker was benched in the South Carolina game, some wondered if he would actually even attend this bowl game. I spoke with him yesterday. He said that he was 100% sure he would be at this game at all times. He said certainly he was a little bit confused with communication-wise when he got pulled, but he said he knows what this game means to Clemson and to him.
Well, Kyle Parker had the option of not even coming back for this season as a sophomore. He wanted one more season as the Clemson quarterback before he moved on to be a professional baseball player. He was a heck of a hitter. 3rd and 8 here. Parker has time over the middle. Wide open receiver. It's Hopkins, Clemson's leading receiver, left alone in the middle of the Bull defense for the first down.
Great protection. Again, allowed the quarterback to have a ton of time back there in the pocket. And right now, Clemson is winning the battle at the line of scrimmage.
And you love to see young receivers not be body catchers. Many times freshmen, they try to get their feet wet. They want to secure the catches. Not DeAndre Hopkins, the team's leading receiver, goes up in the air and shows those strong basketball hands to pluck that ball down.
When the Tigers football season is over, it's Parker on to baseball and DeAndre Hopkins onto the basketball court.
Just like snatching a rebound, right?
Play action on first down. It's Allen, the tight end again, for another Tiger first down as Clemson moves the football on the opening drive.
Really?
So good response from Kyle Parker after this pick 6 ended his night in the rivalry game against South Carolina.
That's right. Really sound decisions. This one wasn't. And that's ultimately why Dabo Sweeney, Billy Napier, the offensive coordinator, pulled him from that game and went to the future, went to the redshirt freshman that, again, we will see this afternoon get some snaps. But Kyle Parker very sharp in this opening drive.
3 for 3 passing for Kyle Parker for 31 yards, moving the Tigers down to the South Florida 31. Parker pressured this time, evades the pressure from Terrell McClain and fires it out of bounds. The first look at the Dancing Bear, Terrell McClain, on the colorfully nicknamed front four for the South Florida Bulls.
And they call him the Dancing Bear because he's got great feet. And again, that's a very positive comment. It's nothing dancing around. He can move, though, and he can lower the boom when he comes in.
What is it about those offensive and defensive linemen? They always have the best nicknames, right? Right next to him, you got Pork Chop, you got the Dancing Bear.
I don't know. You know, they call you Pork Chop?
No. But those offensive and defensive linemen like to make fun of each other.
He can be a bear, I tell you. 2nd and 10, play action again from Parker. It's a screen, and it's snuffed out by South Florida. Harper on the catch. Dede Lattimore, the weak side linebacker, on the stop.
How many times did defensive coordinator Mark Snyder talk about the screen game at Clemson on our call?
Every other moment. He said that's the thing they have to stop. They throw so many screens to so many people. He said we have to be very alert, both from a defensive line standpoint in terms of retracing our steps, and then the linebackers keying that pass drop from the running back or the screen guy.
Snyder, the former head coach at Marshall when Skip Holtz was the head coach at East Carolina. They competed against one another in Conference USA. 3rd and 14. Parker screen again. On the outside again. Harper slips through the arm tackle, but Joyce ends up bringing him down anyway.
One of the things about screens that it does, it stops the other team from blitzing and from pinning their ears back on 3rd down situations.
Also gets your quarterback into rhythm. You always like completions. In Clemson, you will see that screen game from all over in every position today.
So Chandler Catanzaro, redshirt freshman from Greenville, South Carolina, on for a 46-yard attempt. He has made his last 4 after some early misses, including an overtime miss against Auburn when Clemson had a chance to beat the Tigers. 46-yarder from Catanzaro is no good. So the Tigers move the football. South Florida stops them. Still zeros on the board. And when we come back, the top defensive player in college football, Daquan Bowers, leads Clemson onto the field. Before South Florida takes the field on offense, quarterback coach Peter Voss and head coach Skip Holtz with both of the QBs we expect to see today. And just before South Florida snaps it on first down, B.J. Daniels runs out on the field. Play action has a man deep. It is incomplete, intended for Evan Landy, the converted quarterback, now wide receiver. But we expect to see both Bobby Eveld and B.J. Daniels. It's Daniels who gets the start, which he had for most of the year.
Obviously, he's healthy now. Had a pulled quad muscle earlier, but he's a very elusive athlete. They want to get him on the edge, use the zone read, use the option. But they talked about he throws a great deep ball.
Daniels had a thigh injury that caused him to miss the second half of the Miami game, a game that South Florida won in overtime, and then Eveld started in the season finale against Utah. Daniels' slant is up for grabs. It is caught. South Florida catches. The ruling on the field. Bogan and Byron Maxwell were both fighting for the football. The ruling is a catch for South Florida by Dontavia Bogan, and this is going to lead to another discussion among the officials. We've seen in the past 24 hours just about every rule you could see enforced in college football enforced in these bowl games.
You have to control the ball through contact with the ground, and typically, again, multiple possession or simultaneous goes to the offense. But if the defensive player comes up with the ball, he's got it. Interception.
So, well, now, Mike, you said it through contact with the ground.
Yeah, actually, again, that's an easy one right there, because, again, there was not simultaneous possession. That was a defensive player came up with the ball after the pile separated.
And we'll see how quickly Clemson can snap this, because once the snap is out, no chance to review. So Parker goes under center. Parker, toss, Harper looking to throw, and Harper will take the sack back at midfield.
And actually, that was a fake pass. Again, he had the guy open, but too much pressure, too much quickness from the South Florida defense to get to him. Did not allow him to throw the football.
And it's too bad. A double move outside. You actually have your receiver open. That's Hopkins down the sideline. You're going to see the double move, but this takes time. And unfortunately, Harper, not a full-time quarterback, and even a full-time quarterback may not get that ball off as South Florida's team speed defensively catches up with them.
Loss of 13. John Legis, the strong safety, is the guy who got to the intended passer, Harper. Harper back in his more traditional role of running back, and the Bulls waiting for him there. Quentin Washington, the strong tackling corner, brings down Harper. Minimal gain.
And they like to bring John Legist off the edge. He's a safety. He's got 6.5 tackles for loss and 3 sacks, and that's hard to do from the safety position. But they bring him. They love that blitz idea with him because he's a playmaker.
You better have a sense of feel and timing if you're going to blitz those safeties. They've got to have a feel for what's going on around them. That snap count Legist does.
Tigers trying to get back within field goal range after that big loss of 13. This is 3rd and 21. Parker down the middle. Wide open receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. That's twice that the Bulls have left DeAndre Hopkins, the Tigers' leading receiver, open in the middle of the field.
The deep middle is coming open late, and again, it's hard to protect that very long if you're in zone defense. People can run to those open areas. Right now, they're getting great protection from the offensive line, allowing the receivers to find the openings in the zones.
South Florida chooses to rush 4. They run a little line game, but Hopkins gets into that zone, and once again, you see the ability not to be a body catcher, but to snatch it out of the air and protect himself upon contact.
Already 45 receiving yards for DeAndre Hopkins. Back to the ground. Harper has a lane outside, but it's shut down by the South Florida defense. Harper manages to pick up 5. Legist and Raymond there on the stop.
When you have those big backs, Mike, at 235 pounds, quite an advantage when they're light on their feet.
No question. Jamie Harper showed great speed right there. I think he surprised us all because there were 3 or 4 Bulls coming at him. He got the edge and made it what looked like a no-gain play, a 7-yard gain.
Only 71% scoring in the red zone for Clemson. Tigers without one of their big offensive weapons, Andre Ellington, who will not play in the bowl game today. He's been battling a turf toe. We will not see him in the Clemson backfield. Reverse. Jerron Brown trying to find the corner. South Florida gets there first. Jaquan Williams leads the way along with Mr. Raymond.
He's not a guy you're going to have much success in. Jaquan Williams, the captain, the leading tackler, the best player on this defense running laterally. He is simply too fast.
No question. And remember, too, that Jamie Harper is a great receiver out of the backfield. They like him down here in the red zones. He's got 3 touchdown receptions already in this area.
Jaquan Williams, who had the stop on that last play, had the big interception in overtime for South Florida in the win over Miami. 3rd and 5 from the 10. Parker to throw to the end zone and incomplete. Intended for DeAndre Hopkins, who was locked up with the cornerback Washington.
That's a nice job of Washington against a freshman, really athletic receiver who is very slight and being physical and also getting his eyes back to the quarterback. That's why there's no call with that contact.
So Chandler Catanzaro out for his 2nd field goal attempt. He missed a 46-yarder. The redshirt freshman now back for a 27-yard attempt. '27-yarder is good. Points could be at a premium today in Charlotte. The first 3 belong to Clemson.
Watch out. Lindsey Lamar right here. Dangerous kick return. Already taken 2 back. Averages 28 yards a touch on this.
Lamar had a 100-yard return versus Louisville, 94 versus Syracuse. The Big East Special Teams Player of the Year takes it from the 9. Clemson builds a wall to hold him down. And how about the tackle from Byron Maxwell? That's the same player who had the interception, and now he has the wrestling style takedown on Lindsey Lamar.
And that's the same player that's 2 tackles away in the special teams of having the record at Clemson. Loves to get on those special teams and make an influence. And this is a statement. You're in North Carolina, pal. This is orange country right now in this stadium, and you better bring it.
That's an exclamation tackle.
Firing up the Clemson sideline, and the mostly Clemson fans here in Charlotte, just down the road from the campus. A lot of Clemson alums here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lindsey Lamar has room. Here goes Lindsey Lamar in the open field, where he is greeted by DeAndre McDaniel, the All-America safety for the Clemson Tigers. Big gainer for Lamar, but he pays the price.
Now, typically when you're 5'9" and 160, you know how to get down. You're a little bit slippery. Lamar twice this afternoon, those shoulder pads high, and Clemson defenders being on the kickoff return or hear DeAndre McDaniel say, "Welcome to the Meineke Car Care Bowl."
Daniels from the shotgun. With Murray next to him on first down, it's Demetrius Murray who leans forward to the 40, a pickup of about 5. Murray had the game-winning touchdown in overtime in the win over Miami, one of the signature wins of South Florida's season. 3 come-from-behind wins for the Bulls. They won at Cincinnati and Louisville for the first time, snapped a 4-game losing streak to Rutgers. A year ago, this was a program mired in the controversial firing of Jim Leavitt. Skip Holtz and his staff have managed to turn the page, make this their program. Here comes a late hit as B.J. Daniels was bumped as soon as he touched that white chalk. And this is another thing we've seen, especially in bowl games. As soon as that offensive player touches the white chalk out of bounds, if there's a hit, that's going to be flagged.
It's even before they touch. I think, unfortunately, for defensive players. But again, if they're appearing to go out of bounds, the defense is not allowed to take a shot at it.
Ball. Personal foul.
And Dabo Sweeney shaking his head. You mentioned it earlier, all this talent and you're 6-6. Why? Self-inflicted errors, be it missed field goals this season, one of the worst in America, and dumb penalties. And this is classified as about the dumbest I think we've seen in the bowl season.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that one. He's obviously stepped out of bounds. Just lay off, walk away.
One of the best analysis points I've heard this bowl season, Brock, was more games are lost than they are won in bowl season. Play fake from B.J. Daniels. He has a wide open receiver underneath. It's Murray, the running back, into the end zone for a touchdown. A defensive breakdown by the Tigers after Daniels went scrambling to allow Murray a 25-yard touchdown reception. The Bulls are in the end zone first.
You saw Brewer on the play previous make a boneheaded decision. Watch Xavier Brewer, the corner here, get lost. And you're going to see the running back come out of the backfield, check down. B.J. Daniels does a wonderful job going through his progression. And the safety and corner both run with the deep over. You lose the running back. That's a broken coverage. Another problem for Clemson this season.
Not a design play, but great recognition by the quarterback.
Maikon Bonani on for the PAT to make it a 7-3 start for South Florida. The first touchdown of the day goes to the Bulls. B.J. Daniels leads a touchdown drive for South Florida. We expected to see both Daniels and Bobby Evell. My question to you guys is, does the fact that Daniels has led a touchdown drive, does that affect the way that you treat the two quarterback situation?
I think it does. I think both coaches have said that the quarterbacks, they're going to play them both, but they have to play well. And it's sort of a trial basis. And again, I don't think they have to worry about if I make a mistake, I'm going to get yanked. But it's more that they're designed to both get the opportunity. They have to make the most of that opportunity. You
got to play the quarterback that's hot. And you saw Peter Voss, the longtime coach, quarterback coach, caught up with him on the field. He said, I just got to continue to train B.J. Daniels to get to his outlets, to go through his progressions. Did a wonderful job on that touchdown.
Bonani's kick trickles out of bounds. It will be Clemson ball at the 40-yard line. Excellent starting field position for the Tigers. That's the play action on first down. Parker on the roll. Gets rid of it. It's picked. Washington has the interception. Blockers ahead for Washington. Quentin Washington inside the 10 before he's finally dragged down.
And again, I'll say this, another very ill-advised throw, throwing back across his body to a receiver. That was covered. Again, sometimes you have too much faith in your receivers making a play.
The reason he was yanked against South Carolina was a bad decision. It's exactly what his offensive coordinator said. I called out the penalty earlier about it, dumbest penalty you can make. This is one of the most horrific decisions, running away, trying to throw it all the way back across the field. How many times have you heard coaches say, don't ever throw it back across your body? He tried to throw it all the way back to the sidelines. Those are the decisions that will play and force the coach to play the other quarterback.
It's one thing if a guy's wide open. That guy was covered. There was a defensive player right there with him.
Daniels handing off on first down. It's Mo Plancher who dives inside the 2.
And I know Kyle Parker wants to go out the right way and make the right decisions and make plays in his final game as a Tiger.
And that will be the final play of the first quarter. So one play after South Florida gets in the end zone, they get the football back. Can the Bulls punch it in to take a commanding lead to start the second? In downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City, named after Princess Charlotte of Mecklenburg. We are in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, for the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl. First play of the second quarter. B.J. Daniels option toss. Lindsey Lamar trying to find the corner. Shoved out at the 5, so a gain of a couple. This is South Florida down inside the Clemson 10 because of the interception thrown by Kyle Parker on the last Clemson offensive play. Quentin Washington got the pick, and now the Bulls will try and turn an INT into a touchdown. Third and goal. B.J. Daniels eludes the pressure. Daquan Bowers trying to run him down. Daniels stops at the 10 and takes the sack. Daquan Bowers leads the charge. Xavier Brewer, who had a critical mistake earlier, in on the stop.
That's what you love about 6'4", 275. Number one, he wins off the line of scrimmage. And number two, the size to run laterally. And depending on how they grade that, probably be a half sack. Well, now he ties the great Lawrence Taylor for 16 sacks in a single season.
27-yard field goal attempt from Meineke Bonani, sophomore from Lake Wales, Florida. Born in Brazil, moved to Florida at age 11. And his 27-yarder is good. So the INT turns into only 3. South Florida, an early touchdown lead on the Tigers. Downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, the Meineke Car Care Bowl. Happy New Year's Eve to you. Carter Blackburn, along with former Oregon head coach Mike Bellotti, former Washington quarterback Brock Heward, and Shannon Spake, our hardworking ESPN crew. Gilchrist takes it from inside the 10 to the 25-yard line. Last two Tiger drives, it was a 3-and-out led by Boyd, and then an interception led by Parker. So to the ground on first down. Harper picks up just a couple as we check in with Shannon Spake.
Yeah, Kyle Parker, you guys were just mentioning him. You know, obviously they are going to switch back and forth between him and Taj Boyd today. I did speak with Parker yesterday about the situation, and he said certainly he never wants to be on the sidelines watching somebody else lead his offense, but he said there's no hard feelings. In fact, when he was on the sideline, he was sitting next to Boyd. They were talking. They really feed off each other.
Offensive coordinator Billy Napier says we have 2 goals, the quarterback. We want Kyle Parker to go out in proper fashion. We also want to build for the future with a redshirt freshman Taj Boyd. So a couple of different goals in playing the 2 QBs. And it's going to be 3rd down and long because Harper only picks up a couple on 2 running plays.
Well, either quarterback is going to benefit if they can get Harper going. When this offense has had success, it's been through the screens. It's been Harper running, had a couple 100-yard games to end the season. Dabo Sweeney knows with a young receiving core in this quarterback situation, that combination is not going to win this game. They're going to have to establish some run to really benefit the entire offense.
Call it 3rd and 7. So Parker goes from the shotgun with 4 wide receivers.
USF in a radar defense, not giving a look to Clemson to figure out how to block who's going to come.
Dropping into coverage on 3rd and 7. Parker on the run. This time he takes the check down. It's Harper who gets back to the original line of scrimmage. But Brock, the last time Parker was on the run, he threw a pick. This time a check down. It's a 3 and out, but no damage done.
And that was eerily similar to the interception against South Carolina that got him benched. A wide swing right now. You said radar defense. Can you define that for the listeners?
Nobody lines up. They don't give you a look as who's going to be a down lineman, who's actually going to rush the passer. Anybody can come, anybody can drop, and it confuses the protections.
That's as opposed to the Hawkeye or the Hot Lips Houlihan defense, right?
True. Easy to identify.
Mass unit.
And there have been some mass units around the country in college football this year, too. Zimmerman just does get that punt away. It was
partially. Might have got a piece. I think it might have got a piece.
It's Quentin Washington.
It was touched.
Who had the interception, who gets the hand on the punt. South Florida's excellent special teams usually comes in the return game, but Quentin Washington and the punt block unit keeping the Bull momentum rolling. 10-3 lead for South Florida on Clemson in the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl from downtown Charlotte. B.J. Daniels throwing on 1st down, complete to Evan Landy, the sophomore, 2nd leading receiver for South Florida, a converted quarterback himself.
Nice job mixing up the run and pass on 1st down. Again, you've got to do that with the play action, especially take advantage because you've been primarily a running team. When you throw on 1st down, you catch the other team by surprise.
4 wide receivers on 1st down. Running out of that 4 wide formation, it's Demetrius Murray, brought down by Brandon Thompson. We came into the day talking about that front 4 for the Clemson Tigers. Not just Daquan Bowers, but a tough group up front, including Brandon Thompson.
Brandon Thompson, the player of the game against South Carolina. You asked earlier how South Florida won 7 games. I said defense, pretty sound special teams. Also an offensive line that's handling that front 4 of Clemson here pretty well.
Daniels on 2nd down. Pressure. He throws over the middle, complete for a South Florida 1st down. An amazing number of tackles by this front 4 for the Tigers.
Oh, they average 55 tackles apiece. I mean, it is significant. And I'll tell you what, they also average 12.5 tackles per loss and 5.5 sacks per person in that front.
It is the most productive front 4 in college football, bar none. But how do you attack it? You screen, you quick throw, you move the pocket. Everything that you've seen Todd Fitch incorporate here in the 1st half.
1st down just outside the red zone, which is the 20-yard line. This is 1st and 10 from the 21. Give to Mo Clancher. And a positive gain on 1st down. He picks up maybe 5.
You also use the zone read and the option to slow down the rush, make those guys hesitate for half a step, take away some of that explosive power that they have.
And keep them on the field. You see Brandon Thompson, hands on his hips. And Clemson does a nice job of rotating players through, but the longer you possess that ball, and as a quarterback under center, you love to hear that breathing at the line of scrimmage. You know you've got them gassed and on their heels.
It's been all B.J. Daniels at quarterback for South Florida. Scoring drives the last 2, a touchdown and a field goal. Bulls try and get it in again. Daniels slips on 2nd down as he saw Carrico Hawkins bearing down on him. So another 3rd down in the red zone coming up for South Florida.
One of the things, too, you'd like touchdowns rather than field goals anytime you get in the red zone. You settle for a field goal, but you really want as a team touchdowns.
Bulls are 1 for 3 on 3rd down. That only conversion was earlier in this drive. Tigers want to hold South Florida to a field goal again, just like the last drive to the red zone.
Very similar, you see Clemson trying to disguise their front, getting everybody up at the line.
Daniels, quick release, first down, touchdown, South Florida. Dontavia Bogan with a 15-yard touchdown grab.
And again, the leading scorer, most touchdowns for South Florida this year, strikes to the big receiver.
South Florida struggled this season to win outside. Part of the problem for these quarterbacks. But when you get that situation, everybody we pointed out around the line of scrimmage for Clemson, you leave a one-on-one outside and your big receiver. Bogan at 6'1", 188, wins that matchup, breaks tackle. Big touchdown for the Bulls.
You know, to his credit, too, his coaches talked about it, that he also blocks very well down the field, which is a unique combination for a wide receiver.
Well, the big question of the Bulls season, who's come ready to play? The Tigers out to the early start, but South Florida a 2 touchdown lead.
And how about Daniels? All this conversation, he starts 0 for 3, he has the interception on the slant. Well, since then, how about 8 for 8, 106 yards, and 2 touchdown passes?
That is saying it's my job, freshman. Gilchrist fields it inside the 10. Marcus Gilchrist for Clemson across the 25 to the 26. Second down here for the Tigers. Straight ahead run for Harper. Gets through the first level of Bulls defenders and plows his way near a first down. Well, this Clemson team back on September 18th nearly beat Auburn. It was a 27-24 overtime loss. There was a game-winning kick that was then called back because of a penalty and then a missed field goal. So Clemson really played the Tigers, the Auburn Tigers, tough. Harper goes in motion on 1st and 10 after he picked up the first down by the nose of the pigskin. Motion on the line. There is a flag down. Parker heaves it complete to Hopkins, who stays in bounds and fights for a few more to the 50.
And this is a really big drive for Clemson to respond.
Offside. Number 7 defense. Penalty is declined. Play results in a first down.
You know, Kyle Parker's done a good job. He's thrown the last 2 passes with somebody in his face. He actually threw it sidearm underneath the on-rushing defensive person.
Well, about 6 foot tall, you have to navigate and create your own throwing lanes at times.
4 catches already for DeAndre Hopkins, the true freshman from Daniel High School in Central South Carolina, right by the Clemson campus, the Lions. Parker on first down, finds a dragging wide receiver. It's Brandon Ford, 7th catch of the season for Ford, and he slips away for another Clemson Tiger first down inside the 35. You talked about the importance of this drive. Kyle Parker and Clemson much sharper.
And you've seen defensive coordinator Mark Snyder on the other side played a little bit more conservatively. Rushing 4, I would expect now as Clemson has moved the ball into their end of the field, he's going to start to heat it up because that is his nature defensively for South Florida.
That's the nature of every defensive coordinator I've ever been around, to tell you the truth.
Allen goes in motion, out of the eye. Toss goes to Harper. Blockers ahead of him. Harper plows through, dropped by D.D. Lattimore. But the biggest rush of the day for Jamie Harper goes for 8.
Again, as time dwindling down the first half, this is a key drive for Clemson. They've got to get a score on the board. They'd love a touchdown to cut this to a 1-possession ball game.
I know the mascot of South Florida is the Bulls, but how about 235 pounds? Does a nice job of getting his pads down and those shoulders north and south.
Yeah, I'd hate to get in front of him. When you get your shoulders like that, 235 going full speed, that's a collision waiting to happen.
This is 2nd down and 3 with Harper in the backfield. He'll touch it again. Harper tries the right side, stood up by Jaquan Williams for no gain.
And what you want to do on defense is make that guy stop his feet in the backfield. He had the exact opposite, no momentum going in the line of scrimmage to use that 235 pounds that time. The speed and the quickness of the South Florida defense is now offsetting the power of that offensive line of Clemson.
So if this is a big drive for Clemson nearing the end of the half, trying to get points on the board, this becomes a very big 3rd down in this game. Last 3 Clemson drives were 3 and out, interception, and 3 and out. Now the Tigers trying to drive and get points on the board. Bulls bring pressure. Harper corrals the toss. Harper trying to turn the corner, and he is stood up and ridden out of bounds by John Legist. The strong safety was waiting for Harper on the edge.
Can't tell you how many times a quarterback coach teaches a quarterback to put it on that front shoulder on those swing passes, and the Clemson faithful do not like this call. They rush the field goal team out, but you throw it on the back shoulder of a big back and you make him slow down, well, it's devastating to the timing of that play. And that time it was just a pitch, but it might as well have just been a pass.
Catanzaro on for the 3rd time today. He missed a 46-yarder. He made a 27-yarder. This is from 44.
Watch for a fake here, just in case.
Michael Wade is the holder. He gets the hold down. The kick is away. And the 44-yarder is good. So points on the board out of the drive for Clemson. They still trail by 11. The first football meeting between the Clemson Tigers and the South Florida Bulls here in the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl. Clemson fans of all ages. And again, Clemson, South Carolina, just down the road from where we are in Charlotte. A lot of Clemson alums here. And excitement about being in a bowl, but the Tigers expected to be contending for an ACC championship, maybe being a BCS bowl game this year. Flag down as Lamar crosses the 25. Daniels has completed his last 11 passes, handing off to Murray on 1st down. Talk about how these bowl games kind of have a different, a weird type of a feeling when you're away from campus. You're at a bowl site for a week. We have also seen odd calls, and I'm not saying wrong calls, but odd calls late in some of these games to determine, I mean, most notably that new era Pinstripe Bowl with Kansas State and Syracuse. Murray, did he lose the football? Yes, he did. Clemson Tiger football. The Tigers get a huge takeaway with 1:20 to go in the 2nd quarter.
That is a kind of turnover that can change the game if Clemson can capitalize and get a score.
Brandon Thompson gets the fumble recovery.
Well, we talked about this group up front, the most productive in college football, getting off blocks, making plays. Thompson gets in there with his helmet, but you'd like to see your running back, when he's running between the guards, Mike, be more secure with the football.
No question. You got to wrap it up, cover it with both hands, all 4 points on the ball.
So the 1:20, Clemson gets the football. The Tigers last time into the South Florida side of the field got a 44-yard field goal. Clemson has not been in the end zone yet. Kyle Parker still at quarterback for the Tigers. Over the middle, leaves it short for DeAndre Hopkins. Incomplete.
He didn't look comfortable in his delivery or his release. I don't know if he, again, throwing to that side, didn't quite get his hips there, or sort of caught his cleats on the turf. Something didn't look right on that throw.
I'll tell you one thing that South Florida has done really through success early in the game is negated the screen play of Clemson, keeping Parker where he's not quite so confident right within that pocket.
Parker under center on 2nd and 10. Long drop. Parker pumps, rolls away from the Bull pressure and completes to Jerron Brown, whose knee was down after a gain of only 3. So here again is a big 3rd down, because if now South Florida gets a stop, 1:02 with 2 timeouts, the Bulls could have a chance before the end of the half. 3rd down and 7 here for the Tigers.
And here's your radar defense again, trying to make it difficult on Clemson to identify at the line of scrimmage.
Parker finally takes the snap, flings it to the outside, incomplete. Tigers get the football off a fumble, go 3 and out, and vocal frustration from the Clemson Tiger fans, seeing a couple of missed passes, but the offense is staying on the field for 4th down.
One thing that Kyle Parker is seeing, and we saw this in the Alamo Bowl the other night, the Valero Alamo Bowl, and that is what speed can do to a quarterback. And Oklahoma State was so fast that night. Nick Foles was off of rhythm. And right now, Parker's looking at a defense that really flows and plays fast, Mike, on the back end.
So the Tigers go for it on 4th down. They're 5 of 13 on 4th down this season. Play clock winding down. Play fake. Here comes the South Florida pressure. Parker eludes it. Kyle Parker heaves it long downfield. Wide open receiver. It's Marquand Jones inside the 5 with 45 seconds left before the half.
As much as he's been criticized, that was a play made by Kyle Parker. Kept it alive, saw found an open receiver down the field and put the ball in the muddy. Huge, huge play in this half.
And look at him quick snap it here. I like that. Get to the line of scrimmage. You got a play call to attack right away.
44 seconds. There's the spike.
Or you burn it by the spike. I guess that's the proper call with a timeout to go.
Yeah, I honestly would have thrown a pass and said, let's give it a try. We got a timeout left.
It was the same concept we saw earlier on the interception, a deep post with an over route. But you're right, this is where Kyle Parker's at his best, is improvising. It's not necessarily between the tackles. It's we can get out and make a play with his legs. Does a nice job of keeping his eyes open down the field. And that was all Kyle Parker on that play.
His coaches talk about his pride and what a great competitor he is.
High backfield on 2nd and goal. Option. Parker keeps it himself. Stops short of the goal line. This will be 3rd and goal with the seconds ticking away in the first half. Sam Barrington makes the stop.
That's why I don't like that spike on 1st down. I can't tell you how many times. It's the one thing that Peyton Manning does so brilliantly at the NFL level. You have a big play, capture that momentum. Don't go up and spike it and give the defense an advantage. Get to that line and attack right away. Not like that spike on 1st down.
So 3rd and goal out of back-to-back timeouts. One from the Tigers, one from the Bulls. Parker turns, hands off. Harper leaning into the end zone. Touchdown, Tigers.
See, all that stuff was just a moot point. You got it all controlled.
No more debate. Touchdown on the board. Clemson goes for it on 4th down. A 38-yard conversion. Getting down inside the 5. And then Jamie Harper punches it in.
You never saw those feet stop. When he has had troubles this afternoon, he's gone laterally, never stopped his feet.
One other thing, his pads were ahead of the football. And again, that's what you want to see with a back down there on the 1-yard line.
7th rushing touchdown of the season for Jamie Harper, the junior from Jacksonville. Catanzaro's PAT makes this a 17-13 game. Go down to the sideline and Shannon Spake.
Well, Coach Holtz, this game started. Your quarterback had a pick. What did you say to him after that interception for him to redeem himself?
Well, just from a fundamental standpoint, to turn and put it more in his numbers. He just let it. It's not like he turned and made an awful throw or anything. 2 guys competed for the ball, and I hated it, but what I didn't want to do, I don't want to have a quick trigger. I don't want to go pull and it feel like a quarterback can't play or make a mistake, and that's why we went back to BJ. He's done a nice job in the first half.
So what is your plan for the second half with your 2 quarterbacks?
I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get in there at halftime.
A fumble, a touchdown for Clemson. How does this shift momentum for you guys?
What you hate is we've turned the ball over twice now down at this end of the field with the interception early. That's led to 10 of their points right now, and then the turnover right before half. You're just trying to be safe with the ball. You've got a lead, making sure you go in at half, and unfortunately, we just turned and put the ball on the ground, and they made a great play there on 4th down.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Well, after B.J. Daniels throws the pick, he completes his next 11 passes, and South Florida has a 17-13 lead on Clemson at the half. Now we send you to the H&R Block halftime report. Jonathan Coachman and Robert Smith. Welcome back to Capital One Bowl Week in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the Meineke Car Care Bowl. 17-13 South Florida from the Big East on Clemson from the ACC as we get ready for the start of the second half. Carter Blackburn with Mike Bellotti and Brock Heward. We expected this to be a close game. 2 teams statistically even. Halftime numbers pretty even. The difference has been turnovers and the response to turnovers.
That's right. The points off turnovers, they've really changed the momentum both times. Swings in that first half. I want to give some real credit to B.J. Daniels. Talk of who would be the quarterback at South Florida. Would he come out and play? Throws an interception early and responds with the best half of his season. 8 of 11, couple touchdowns, really got South Florida going.
I think Kyle Parker, too, throwing a disastrous interception, but coming back and finishing with a couple of great drives. To me, it's the speed of South Florida versus the power of Clemson.
So momentum swings there in the first half. Clemson had a solid start. Then South Florida, Clemson closing out the last couple of minutes with the takeaway, the touchdown, last 10 of the first half. Question is who begins the second half with momentum after Lamar bobbles the football, dragged down near the 17 as we check in with Shannon Spake.
Well, I caught up with Clemson head coach Dabo Sweeney during halftime. He told me that Kyle Parker is having some x-rays taken here at the stadium for that left rib cage. That last play, we saw him injured a little bit. So they are going to start Taj Boyd. However, he did say that was the plan all along to have Boyd start this 3rd quarter. As far as the game, he said we're beating ourselves on penalties. We have to stop playing sloppy and just settle down.
And worth pointing out for Colorado Rockies, the #1 recruit in that class of 2008, Daquan Bowers, ahead of guys like Terrell Pryor and A.J. Green. Daniels' 13th straight completion goes to Evan Landy, who slips out of the first tackle. First down for the South Florida Bulls.
And what a nice play. You throw short of the sticks. Your receivers better be good at yak, that yards after contact. Landy better there than a really physical corner, Maxwell, who misses that tackle.
And you can't miss that tackle. You've got to keep the ball in front of you in that situation.
Daniels, a sophomore from Tallahassee's Lincoln High School, joined in the backfield by Mo Plancher. Low snap. Daniels corrals it. Heaves it long down the field for Landy. A little bit too long. So the streak of completions ends at 13 for B.J. Daniels. Isn't
it amazing sometimes when that ball is fumbled off the snap, the defense stops their feet. They're just watching because they don't know what's happening. The guys run right by him. A better throw there would have resulted in a touchdown.
And so often you see that in kick returns and punt returns. Everybody freezes, even those safeties and corners, for just a split second. You're right. If he's able to keep that in bounds, that's an enormous play down the field.
2nd and 10 after the incompletion on the long ball. Another low snap. Inside give. Plancher eludes Daquan Bowers on the backside, lowers the pads, and fights into Clemson territory.
That's a great story. Again, 6th-year senior coming back from knee surgery. Granted, that 6th year, and he's made the most of it. 4.6 yards per carry, 4 TDs this year, but really a guy that you can count on to get tough yards.
In South Florida, just 27 yards rushing in the first half. B.J. Daniels was impressive. If they can get that run, it really improves their efficiency offensively.
Plancher has both of his shoes back on his feet. He gets it again on 1st down. Over 1,700 rushing yards in the long career of Mo Plancher. 6th-year senior, as Mike mentioned, took a medical redshirt in 2006 with an ACL injury after he had redshirted as a freshman.
And we just got the word that Clemson's Kyle Parker has broken ribs and will not return today. Significant loss for the Clemson football team.
So that means it will be Taj Boyd, presumably a quarterback for the Tigers when they get the football again. Drop pass as Plancher was coming out of the backfield on 2nd down.
You know what I like of B.J. Daniels today, and Peter Voss alluded to this morning down on the field, quarterback coach of South Florida. I said, what is B.J.'s greatest strength? He said, by far his athleticism, but it also hurts him because he tends to play too fast and rush through his reads and progressions. It's not been the case today. Been really sharp and does a nice job getting to the check down there that would have gained the 1st down.
3rd and 6 on the year. South Florida just 29% on 3rd down. Daniels pressured by Bowers. Running away from Daquan Bowers, leaves it high, but it is caught for a 1st down. How about sneaking through? And I'm not even sure that was intended for the tight end Kevin Guidry, but it finds its way into the hands of Guidry.
I think that definitely was. I think there was a receiver in the vicinity underneath it, but he threw that way too hard. He's leading this guy across. You can see him. He gets forced out of the pocket, comes over the top, and again, you'll see a receiver come into the picture there, and I definitely think he was throwing there. Great throw on the run.
So off the fingertips of Mo Plancher into the arms of Kevin Guidry. South Florida converts.
He had the critical fumble at the end of the 1st half, running through contact there and securing the football.
Opening drive of the 2nd half. South Florida won the toss and deferred, so this is exactly what the Bulls wanted. The football to begin the 2nd half with the lead and a chance to punch it in. Daniels pumps, heaves it to the front corner of the end zone, incomplete. Sensabaugh in tight coverage there on Bogan, and that could have been a flag on Sensabaugh.
Yeah, it looked like Bogan got taken to the ground, locked arms or whatever. Let's take a look here. Running the fade stop concept. And again, you can see right there. Hard to tell.
Well, one thing, though, through this entire game, they've been consistent. They have let these guys on both sides this afternoon fight an arm fight, been consistent by that, making that a no call.
I think he tripped over the pylon there, maybe more than was pulled down.
So 2nd down and 10. Daniels goes exactly that way again for Bogan. This time flag thrown at the front pylon. The pass is ruled incomplete, but there is a flag down. Right back to the exact same spot where Bogan and Sensabaugh got tangled up on the last play. This time a flag.
The ruling on the field was an incomplete pass. We had pass interference. Number 15 on the defense. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. automatic first down.
The reason why this is a spot foul, it's less than 15 yards.
So as the one-time head of the rules committee, Mike, why is the first one not a penalty in that call?
Well, again, right here, the ball is in the air. Most of the contact took place with the ball in the air. On the other one, again, I didn't see a lot of contact once the ball was in the air.
That was very close to a catch by Bogan, even though it bounced off the ground. So first and goal for South Florida. Opening drive of the second half is a touchdown drive for the Bulls. Mo Plancher into the end zone.
And how critical was that first third down conversion on this drive where Clemson gets him in the third and long. The throw is underneath the sticks, and Evan Landy breaks the tackle to keep this drive going. And South Florida really captures the momentum and runs it right at the Tigers.
And again, great power by Mo Plancher down there. Again, you'd love to see a 6-year guy come back from that knee injury and be able to help his football team.
Maikon Bonani's PAT kick is good. The Bulls wanted it to start the second half. They wanted a touchdown. South Florida gets both. Happy New Year's Eve from downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl. Carter Blackburn with former Oregon head coach Mike Bellotti, former all Pac-10 quarterback with the Washington Huskies, Brock Hewart. Shannon Spake is on the sidelines. Happy holidays to you. Hope you enjoy this New Year's Bowl season. Marcus Gilchrist takes it from inside the 5. Gilchrist hit at the 20-yard line as he comes across. So the Clemson Tigers now will take the field. And as Shannon reported, Kyle Parker with a broken rib. So we will see the redshirt freshman Taj Boyd. He played 1 series in the first half. That was a 3 and out for the Clemson Tigers. The redshirt freshman from Hampton, Virginia, who played most of the season finale against South Carolina. It is South Florida from the Big East against Clemson from the ACC. The 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl. Clemson quarterback Kyle Parker, who was expected to rotate with Taj Boyd. We do not expect to see Parker again today. Apparently broken ribs. So it's the redshirt freshman from Hampton, Virginia, Taj Boyd, to quarterback the Tigers, apparently for the rest of the day.
And we've had a couple 3 and outs. Get some tempo. I'd like to see a little bit more pace just at the line of scrimmage with Taj, getting that energy moving forward.
From the shotgun, Boyd runs away from pressure, hit from behind and dropped.
Brock, as you probably know too, as you keep going, you don't have first downs. The pressure starts to mount a little bit to make a play. And I agree, when he came in at the South Carolina game, they were no huddle. They were going up tempo. You're right. It's a little easier in that situation.
You see a shot of Parker in street clothes, definitely done for the day, but it was something that Jim Zorn always taught as a quarterback coach, just tempo, just that body language, what that shows to a defense. Right now, when you're lingering around, and right now they're suffocating you. You're looking and staring now at 3 and outs. Pick up the confidence level, and you can do that at times simply by your own body language.
Taj Boyd has yet to pick up a first down for the Clemson offense. 3rd and 10 here. Screen, swing it to the outside, flicker back to Harper. Harper near the first down. Where did he step out? This should be close. As to whether Harper got to the first down stick or not, it's that close. See where the orange marker is and see where the football is.
And I think Billy Napier could feel that same lethargic level, and that's why you call in a real trick play here, the hook and lateral. Give some credit to D.D. Lattimore. This entire South Florida linebacking corps, Barrington, Williams, Lattimore, they run so well sideline to sidelines.
Clemson elects to punt, or at least come out in punt formation, drawing again frustration from the Tiger fans, hoping that Clemson would go for it from the 4. Here's the fake. On the outside, this is Michael Wade, who picks up the first down off the fake. Michael Wade scrambles for a first down. So the Tigers go for it on 4th down after all and get it on the fake.
I think the question whether South Florida was in their defensive alignment or that was their punt return team. And anytime you get a 4th and 1 anywhere, typically, and that's their punt return team, unfortunately, they were not playing defense for that play. They got surprised by the fake.
So the first down for Clemson with Taj Boyd at quarterback comes on the fake punt. Now can the offense keep the ball moving? Harper tries the cutback, nothing there. So Craig Marshall and the South Florida defense there to stop him.
Typically a later developing play, a deep handoff. You want to read those blocks, but too much penetration negates the opportunity to read the blocks.
This is a good South Florida defense. I think that gets lost a little bit. Granted, the Big East this year struggled from a perception standpoint nationally. Nobody ranked in the top 25. But you look at South Florida and what Mark Snyder has done with that group. Their rush defense, their scoring defense, their total defense. This is a top 20 defense in America, and they're showing that this afternoon.
Clemson doesn't get a play snap before we reach the end of the third. So the only points of the third quarter belong to South Florida on a touchdown. Tigers down 11 going to the fourth in Charlotte. In Charlotte, North Carolina, the Meineke Car Care Bowl, one of 3 bowl games today on the ESPN networks. 9 this weekend, 6 tomorrow on New Year's Day, including the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio and the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the home of the BCS. First play of the fourth quarter is an interception thrown by Taj Boyd. Jenkins has the pick, and Jenkins has blockers ahead of him. Did he get into the end zone? Marked out at the 5. Jaquez Jenkins' first career interception comes on the first play of the fourth quarter.
Brock, you know this. This is one of the tougher throws to make. You have to throw it over a linebacker, but have it come down in that zone area. Deep crossing route puts a little bit too much mustard on it.
You must feel that linebacker in the depth of that drop, just like Jaquez Jenkins has to feel where that boundary and sidelines. That end zone looked enormous to him. And the redshirt freshman, I think, eventually will figure out how to stay in bounds and finish that interception off.
And the crossing route, you know, too, you want to throw it either side of that guy, not over the top of him.
Jenkins not only picks off Taj Boyd, then returns it 48 yards. So with an 11-point lead, start of the fourth quarter, South Florida has a chance to take a commanding edge on the Clemson Tigers. How about the T backfield behind Daniels, and they play fake out of it. B.J. Daniels back at the 10. Loses the football, but it's out of bounds. South Florida maintains it at the 8. We check in with Shannon Spate.
Guys, the trainer here on the South Florida sideline told me Demetrius Murray has a sprained left ankle. They have taped him up, actually removed the shoe and retaped his ankle, and right now he's questionable.
So that means Mo Plancher would be the featured tailback in the backfield for the South Florida Bulls.
Maybe the first negative decision from Daniels today.
Yeah, no question. Should have thrown that ball away, get a chance, save the yardage.
Second and goal from the 8. Lamar in the backfield as well. Daniels runs the option. Thought about tossing it inside, but calls his own number, and it's the right number. Daniels into the end zone on the option keeper. Touchdown, South Florida. The interception by Jenkins turns into 6 points for South Florida on the option keeper from Daniels.
Again, the shovel option, you can see it here, holds the inside guys one-on-one on the outside, takes it, tucks it. Nice decision, nice execution.
South Florida a point away from going up 31-13. Late man running on the field. The play clock at 7 right now. It's 6. So time to get the snap off. Bonani's kick is good. A 31-13 lead. The Bulls on the verge of a bowl win. Their 8th of the season. Clemson staring down a 6-7 mark if they can't come back in the 4th. Jenkins, the redshirt freshman from St. Petersburg, with his first career INT. That leads to a rushing touchdown for B.J. Daniels. When you look at those numbers, Daniels started 0 for 3 with a pick, so 19 of 22 with 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown since the early tough start. And now the Tigers need a big play from their special teams or offense. It's not going to happen here. Gilchrist brought down at the 13. On 1st and 10, DeAndre Hopkins makes the grab for the Clemson Tigers. And this is a Clemson offense who's trying to come back on South Florida, down by 18, 9 to go. In 5 bowl games, South Florida's defense has not allowed a score in the 4th quarter of the 5 bowls. Now, if memory serves, in El Paso, Texas, at the Sun Bowl, there was a score put up by the Oregon Ducks, but that was a defensive score by Oregon over South Florida in a big win for Oregon over South Florida. And pass incomplete for Harper. Mike, do you remember that game?
I do actually remember that. That was a walk-on defensive end that intercepted a tip ball, ran it in for a touchdown. Great day for he and his family and for the entire Duck Nation.
Well, that was the day that Jim Leavitt dominated you in the wind sprints before
He
the
did.
game.
He kicked my tail in the wind sprints, and I watched him, and as I said, I applauded. I said, great job, Coach.
Well, it was a little bit at altitude there. And
It was. But I a little faster step that way. Ball goes farther.
May have been a wind-aided time as well. Didn't qualify for Olympic measurement. Tigers need a first down. Taj Boyd flings it complete. There is the first down. It's DeAndre Hopkins on the outside, the true freshman from Daniel High School, who makes the catch.
Clemson going up tempo now, needs some good things to happen. They've got to get some yardage in chunks now. Again, they're way behind. They have not been able to run the football today. Normally averaging 146 yards, only 54 yards on the ground today.
Taj Boyd over the middle, pass complete to DeAndre Hopkins. And as you start to look to the future, that is a flag and should have been a flag on the late hit. That's number 96, Anthony Hill, who's just into the game for South Florida, and he will immediately be exiting the game for South Florida.
Whether or not Clemson wins this game, you want to see Taj Boyd do well for the future of that program. And he is the heir apparent at the quarterback position, probably the most important position on the field.
Foul, number 96, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
For any program, but you, again, want to do well, hit the end of the game, whether they win or not.
Well, after the play is over, the shove.
Now, you recruited Taj Boyd, right? You made some long-distance calls from Eugene to Virginia. Why? What attracted you to him?
I actually made a home visit, was in his home. He had a quick release. He had the mobility, I think, to run in any type of offense, the zone read, and some of the option stuff. And again, liked him a lot. We recruited very hard.
So this Clemson team now, there's only 3:21 left in this game. They're going to lose the bowl game. They're going to have a losing record for the first time in 11 years. But let's look to next year for Dabo Sweeney and the Clemson Tigers. You lose a lot of talented players, most notably Daquan Bowers, but Jarvis Jenkins, your first-team All-ACC defensive tackle, your All-American strong safety, DeAndre McDaniel, and I should put an asterisk next to Daquan Bowers. He's a junior. If he comes out, you lose Bowers. You lose Kyle Parker, who is your quarterback. There's a lot of losses off of this Clemson team that's going to end the year at 6-7.
Now, in reality, you will have 15 of your 22 starters back, considering Parker and Bowers both leave. Speculating there with Bowers, 15 to 22, and a lot of your people on offense, your young receivers.
Very young receivers.
Very young receivers. You returned 4 of your offensive linemen. Taj Boyd has gotten his feet wet this season, but it will really be the leadership to me, the leadership of your studs, your all-conference players on defense, that Dabo's going to have to try to find a way to replace.
Boyd on first down. Throwback Hopkins, a true freshman. Clemson's leading receiver down inside the 5. He is one of the playmakers that the Tigers will have back next year when he's done playing basketball for the Tigers. You also have Andre Ellington, who missed the bowl game with a turf toe injury, really limited down the stretch because of the turf toe. Jamie Harper is a junior, so you have 2 excellent backs and your leading receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, back, along with Taj Boyd.
There's a lot to build on. I think the other thing, too, is that the hunger, the idea of, guys, we're not happy with what happened here. How can we change that? It's going to take work in the offseason. It doesn't start next year. It starts tomorrow.
Daquan Bowers says January 14th in Clemson he will make his announcement as to whether he is going to forego his senior year. Again, rated number 2 on Mel Kiper's big board, the top defensive player available in the draft. According to Mel Kiper, he's won the Bronco Nagurski Award as the top defensive player. Boyd rolling on 2nd and goal, and he takes a huge hit as he reaches the corner.
Wow, that is one of those situations where you're running with the ball ahead of your pads. You can't protect yourself. And he had it's a shovel option, but it was all covered. And you can see it right here coming. Oh, my gosh.
Sam Barrington lays the lick.
If I remember right, didn't we have a Taj Boyd bobblehead play in the South Carolina game as well? He just got clobbered. You got to get your pads down. Young guys will learn. You better get your shoulder pads down. Get closer to that ground. When you're a big guy, 6'2", and you're upright, you're going to take some shots.
Taj Boyd and Clemson trying to put a happy ending to the game. There's a touchdown pass from Boyd. And it goes to Brandon Ford, his first touchdown of the season. The backup tight end hauls it in. So a 31-19 game pending the PAT.
And it looks like Clemson's going to go for two. Nice job buying a little bit of time, feeling the blitz come at you. He's got some skills. Obvious why he was a top 5 quarterback coming out of high school. You love his toughness and his size. I'll just say this lastly. Identity. Find me an identity. TCU, Wisconsin, Auburn, Oregon, the teams all playing in the BCS championship games. You know exactly what they're about. That's what I'd like to see the Tigers find this offseason.
Clemson will go for 2. Boyd on the roll, throwing incomplete, intended for Allen. And it's Jaquez Jenkins there again, making plays in the defensive backfield for South Florida today. The big INT for a pick and a couple of big pass breakups. That one on the 2-point conversion to keep this at a 12-point game.
Yeah, it's a great throw. Perfect timing delivery. Just couldn't get his eyes around to catch that football. Looks like an apparent onside kick attempt here from Clemson.
Good kick.
Ball is live on the ground there.
Hopkins picks it up.
Cannot be advanced, but can be recovered.
Hopkins picks it up. So the Tigers recover, and after the play, a little skirmish back at the 40. So flags are thrown after the play is over.
What a great kick. That second bounce, so critical to get up in the air, and Clemson savvy to get their offensive players, I guess, on the special teams kick downfield through contact, and Hopkins delivers.
That's the backup kicker, Richard Jackson, who is the onside kick specialist for the Clemson Tigers, and you could see why. An excellent onside kick from Richard Jackson. So it will be Clemson football. The flags were after the play.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 81, receiving team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Guys, I tell you what, that is huge, because now we're talking about if they can get a score here, you got a one-possession ball game. It's coming back. We can have some fun here.
Boyd, play action. Taj Boyd feeds it to the end zone. Hopkins lays out, could not haul it in at the goal line.
You talked earlier about that interception throw where you got to get it up and down over the linebacker in front of the safety. Very similar throw there in the hole. You got to get it up and over, but still make it a catchable ball for your receiver.
Just off the fingertips. I'll tell you, great protection, because he had a lot of time back there. And as a coach, I'm just excited for Taj Boyd to get more work, to get more reps in this game.
Meaningful snaps, and these are so much more meaningful than anything you're going to do in practice.
2nd and 10. Keep in mind that the yellow notches below the team name show you timeouts. Only one left for Clemson. Hopkins on the screen, blown up as soon as he catches it by Quentin Washington. 3rd down coming up for the Tigers.
Well, that puts a stamp on the screen game today. Mark Snyder, I've never heard a defensive coordinator talk about a screen game as much as he referred to what Dabo Sweeney and his staff do, and they answered it every single time today. Very little production from the screens for Clemson.
3rd and 10. Harper motions out. Empty backfield. Taj Boyd finds Harper. Dropped as soon as he catches it. 4th down coming up. Clemson doesn't have a timeout left, so the clock will roll. Quentin Washington makes another good open field tackle, this time on Jamie Harper.
Not many missed tackles today from the Bulls either. Very, very sharp defensively.
This is 4th down and 5. If the Tigers are going to have a chance, they have to convert. Boyd finds an open receiver. It is complete. It's Ford again, who had the touchdown grab. This time Ford catches it on 4th down. It will be 1st and goal for Clemson Just under a minute to go. And remember, a 12-point game. The Tigers need 2 scores. Clemson now 3 for 3 on 4th down today. Hurry up offense. The seconds are precious now for the Clemson Tigers. Harper motions out, empty again. Boyd pumps over the middle to the end zone. It is incomplete. The pass knocked away at the last minute from Brandon Ford by John Legist.
Ball thrown slightly behind him, had it in his hands, but he's got to control that ball through contact with the ground. Gets a huge assist from the South Florida defense to not hang on to the ball.
When you get into the red zone, your accuracy becomes a premium. 1 foot 6 inches. That field condenses, and you just can't afford to throw it behind.
John Legist just rips it out, too.
A big call coming up.
After further review, the pass receiver from Clemson had possession of the ball in the end zone. Touchdown.
Touchdown, Tigers. 43 seconds left. And what appeared to be a South Florida win here in Charlotte at the Meineke Car Care Bowl is now in doubt. 31-25, meaning that if Clemson goes for 2 and gets 2, it's a 4-point game. So why would you go for 2 here? That's exactly what Dabo Sweeney does. Kick in the PAT.
Right, it's not the 2, it's now the onside kick again to get possession. They need to have another magic thing work.
Catanzaro's PAT makes it 31-26. So going back to that onside kick, and again, this is the onside kick specialist, Richard Jackson, for Clemson.
Hits into the ground, gets the big hop right there, which allows the coverage team to get down, knock the ball out. It's a live ball right there. Cannot be advanced, but can be recovered.
Clemson has scored 13 points in the last minute 4 seconds of the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl to make the first of our 3 games today on New Year's Eve. A very interesting one. 43 seconds to go. Clemson will go for an onside kick again. Richard Jackson for the onside kick. It has to travel 10 yards. It is recovered by Clemson, but did it travel 10 yards?
They're marking it short of that, which means no. The one official has a spot that is not allowing the ball to be there.
DeAndre McDaniel recovered it, but again, the ball has to travel 10 yards to the 40. It's kicked off from the 30, has to travel to the 40.
You notice that B.J. Daniel is part of the hands team to catch that football. Their quarterback is on. That's how important that play is.
Illegally touched by Clemson short of the 10-yard line. That illegal touching. The ball belongs to South Florida at that spot. First down.
That's the game. That is about half a yard from crossing that 40-yard line. As soon as the ball crosses the 40, meaning it goes 10 yards, then it becomes a live football, becomes anyone's football. But Clemson now, without a timeout, will watch South Florida take a knee.
One time and it's over.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dabo Sweeney's guys, they didn't quit. They didn't throw this game away. They could have folded up the tent and said no thank you. They're a half yard away from having the ball with 40 seconds left and a chance to win.
So the Tigers' consecutive streak of winning seasons will come to an end at 10. They fall to 6-7. South Florida has its 5th consecutive 8-win season. Whole team goes 8-5 on the season. What looked to be a runaway win for the Bulls ends up in a tight finish between South Florida and Clemson. What's the biggest takeaway from this game, do you think, for the South Florida Bulls?
Oh, number 7, without a shadow of a doubt. Mike alluded to that earlier. That's a building block. That's something you recruit to. The B.J. Daniel will be here 2 more years. And if he plays at that level, as I said in this broadcast, Skip Holtz, I think, can elevate this program to be perennial Big East contenders.
He's a centerpiece not only for the offense, but for the program. Brock, you're right. Something you can recruit to, something to talk about. We've got a quarterback. We know we can win. That's a confidence builder.
As the clock hits zeros, let's check in with Shannon Spade.
Well, it is official. B.J. Daniels, you are the MVP of this game. Describe what this moment is like for you, especially how the season's been.
It means a lot, you know, going through struggles and things like that. But I always kept my faith in my teammates, coaches, and God. And I'm just thankful that he put me in this position.
The entire game, how much did you think you were going to play today?
No idea, but I trust my coaches to the fullest.
Your coach is here to say congratulations.
Thank you.
The first pick, I got to ask you, what was going through your mind on that first pick of the first play of the game?
I didn't want it to happen.
I can tell you what was going through mine.
What was that?
I love this guy. Proud of the way he competed. Proud of the way he competed today.
What do you think about him being the MVP down here today?
He was the MVP. There wasn't anybody more deserving than B.J. Daniels. You know what? He's been through an awful lot. And the way this guy has fought through some adversity and some injury with everything, the way he came in here and competed today, I'm proud of this guy. You know what? Love you, man.
Thank you.
Coach, you told me yesterday one of the toughest things for you as a first-year coach was really getting these guys to buy into your system. You took them down to Vero Beach at the start of the season. How much has that led to today?
I think it was a huge part of it, just the closeness and togetherness. And, as a new staff coming in here, these guys really embraced us with open arms. And my father taught me when you're a new coach coming in, it's not the players that choose you, but you choose the players. And I wanted to be here, and these guys, the way they just opened their arms and their hearts and said, we want to be good, tell us what we need to do, and they bought in, and the result is a great season. Proud of these guys.
Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations, BJ. You guys enjoy this victory, guys.
2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown for B.J. Daniels, and South Florida wins the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl 31-26 over Clemson. For live coverage of the trophy ceremony, log on to ESPN3.com. For Brock Hewitt, Mike Bellotti, Shannon Spake, and our entire hard-working crew, I'm Carter Blackburn saying so long from Charlotte. South Florida wins the 2010 Meineke Car Care Bowl. Up next on ESPN, the 2010 AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Georgia versus UCF. Now we send you back to Jonathan Coachman in the studio.